Okay, I'm going to show you a quick example on how you can do a Salesforce report comparison. So firstly, I have a standard Salesforce connection here. Then I have a step that navigates me to the dashboard tab. Since the dashboard tab and the report page is all customized, we won't be able to interact with any elements on that page and handle the navigation automatically using an on-screen. So instead, what we'll do is go to the test palette and find an on-screen step here and drag that in. And then what I've done is I selected Salesforce tab as the screen type, select the application and the tab that you want to navigate to, and then set the navigate option to always navigate. This will take you to the dashboard tab. From there, you can interact with all the elements on the dashboard tab using page objects. So that's what I've done here. And so far, all I've done is added a single UI starter step. I'll show you how we can do a comparison with the value that we extract from the UI. So if I go to this page object, I haven't added any weights or anything like that. What I've done is added a weight after I click the dashboard tab, just to make sure the page is properly loaded before I try to interact with that page. So I'll go ahead and resume this test case so you can see what this looks like. So firstly, it will navigate me to the dashboard tab. Then it's going to click the dashboard that I want to navigate to. And it's waiting for a few seconds before it tries to perform that assertion. This initial assertion, all I've done is right-clicked on a specific row. In this case, if I go to edit this test step, you can see which row I'm dealing with. If you see it highlighted here, it's this first row. I'm just grabbing this date time from this particular row inside of this report. All reports, since there's no metadata for the underlying data that you're dealing with in the report, are going to be handled via page objects. I suggest using either the JS locator or the CSS locator for those particular elements you're trying to interact with, because if you use the XPath, typically the default XPath will specify a specific grid in the dashboard, which would be, in other words, if I move this report to another cell inside of this dashboard, this locator will no longer be working. Okay, so I've extracted this value. The way that I've done that is doing a UI assert step, and I've checked extract value here. So what this does, if I go to automation and I go to my test runner tab and click the step here that is executed, then I'll have my variables tab, which will show the variable that was created for me. The test step itself is creating a variable called values, because in the options for that particular step, I have set the result name to values. So if I go to the variables tab, I'll see the values here. I can expand this and I'll see here's my field that I'm interacting with, and here's the value. Okay, so if I want to do a comparison to another field, or another row in that same report, I can right click on any row, add it to my test case, and we'll just say test executions, row 2, column 1. And again, rather than using the Provar locator, I'll just switch to the JavaScript locator for this element, change the interaction type to reassert, and I'll change this to assert the value. Now, if we want to do a comparison to the previous cell that we extracted, we just need to enter in our content assist, which is control space on a Windows or command space on a Mac. Then I'll go to the very bottom of my list here where it says values. I'll hit the period, and then it will have an autocomplete for me to copy in that variable. So this is going to contain my date time from the previous row. If I click add and do, this test step should fail because the comparison will come back as the rows not being equal. So we'll see this UI assert fail here shortly. Right, if we go to right click the step and go to view test step output, we can indeed see that the assertion has failed because the date times are not equal. If we go back into Provar, take a look at what that looks like, a little bit of a bigger view here. We can zoom in and we can see that here's the assertion that has failed. So you can see how we can extract data from particular rows and cell values inside of reports and compare them inside of Salesforce.